What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and today's video I'm here to talk to you guys about the lackluster and honestly pretty disappointing update coming to Tekken 8 in version 1.12.01. And also, just because I need to vent my frustration real quick, this is actually my second take of this video because I already recorded it and I had microphone issues. It is what it is. I just had to get that off my chest real quick. Anyway, we're getting a brand new update to the game, and the game is currently on maintenance right now as I'm recording this. And I'm going to try to get this up still quickly tonight. But there's just not a lot of substance in here. It's actually very disappointing, as you can tell by my title. Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. So to start things off, of course, as always, got to get that Tekken Fight Pass. You know what I mean? And I'm guilty as charged. I always get the Fight Passes. It pays for itself if you buy one, because then you buy one, then it gives you enough coins to get the next one, and so on and so forth. You actually get 700 for the price of 600. Whatever, cool. Some people care about cosmetics, some people don't. I do. If you don't, it is what it is. Moving on, we're also getting a maid outfit pack that's being added. This is Nina in the maid outfit. You know, could be better, could be worse. It's whatever. I'll probably end up getting it and using it for some characters, but you know, it's, you know. Moving on, there's also the Tekken Fight Lounge, where there's 5 new special ghosts that will appear, where you get brand new obtainable character panels. These are coming from the Tekken fandom campaign, so this is fan art that's being put in the game. Pretty cool. You know, then we have this right here, the tournament settings feature. We're not going to go into detail about this. Link to these notes will be in the description down below if you want to check it out if you want to check it all out and read it for yourself. But this is really cool quality of life updates for tournament organizers and anybody who's playing the game offline, whether that's a local, a minor, a major, whatever the case may be. Pretty cool. Then we also have this matchmaking update to rank match, where they are adjusting to reduce the likelihood of consecutive matches with players where the previous match failed to establish. From my interpretation, this means they're just trying to make it less likely for you to get paired up with somebody who's rage quitting or, you know, disconnecting because of their faulty internet or PC, whatever the case may be. Cool. And then we get into the meat and potatoes of this video. So basically, as I already discussed, but you guys could hear, balance adjustments in version 1.12.01 have been postponed in consideration of major official tournaments scheduled for late February in Europe and Japan. So I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't expecting there to be like any major balance adjustments in this patch. I was hoping for some, and it's disappointing that there aren't any. It's even more disappointing to find out that they originally planned to have some and postponed it. Now, here's the thing, okay? It is cool and admirable and honestly respectable that they are doing it out of consideration for these events that are about to take place. I'm actually not familiar with what the event is that's taking place in Japan, but I know that the Tekken Cup finals in Europe are taking place in not too long from now, like a few days from now. And so it's like a big $30,000-$40,000, I'm sorry, a 30,000-40,000 euro tournament, something like that, that's taking place. So it's a pretty big event with a lot of money on the line. So it makes sense that they don't want to drastically change the game right before that event happens. Now, you could argue that the tournament organizers could take it upon themselves to not use the new patch, but then you have to take into consideration, okay, a brand new patch drops like a week before this big event. Do you expect players to not update their game and just keep playing on the old patch? Or do they play on the new patch and then they have to come to the event and go back to an old patch after learning and adjusting to a bunch of new stuff? And I mean, it just kind of gets things all mucked up and kind of messy, you know? Maybe a super hardcore dedicated player who really wants to win that specific event would like decline to update their game, but then you're letting everyone else get a head start on you. And like, it's only a week, but like, you know what I'm saying, even still. So like, I get it. That makes sense. It sucks for the general player, right, to not get the new updates, but I respect it, okay? However, the next two parts are what's truly, it's really just the middle part is what's truly heartbreaking. Additionally, as we plan to release Season 2 update with extensive balance adjustments this spring, we will not implement any balance adjustments in version 1.13 scheduled for mid-March, which precedes this update. Information about the Season 2 launch timing, general direction of balance adjustments and rank match changes, next DLC character, and more will be announced during the Tekken Talk Live event scheduled for February and March. The February Tekken Talk Live will be held on the following date, which is February 25th. And this is where it's just like gut-wrenching, very disappointing, and this is the part where I go on my little mini rant. I'm calm now, but so I try my very best to be understanding, to see the bigger picture, think about things from multiple perspectives, and also acknowledge that I'm not a developer. I have never worked on a video game. I am not a business owner. You know, well, legally I am, right? You know, with YouTube and everything, and I'm self-employed, but you know what I mean? Like I don't own Bandai Namco, you know what I mean, or anything like that. So I try to realize that, or rather, I try to not be impatient. I try to not be entitled and things like that, right? I try to have a certain level of understanding of like timing and, you know, how these things work and everything. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, sometimes too much benefit of the doubt. But I just can't really wrap my head around not releasing any adjustments in the mid-March update. Because what this means is that you had updates planned for February and you postponed it. And now you're postponing basically the March update, which is essentially going to be nothing, kind of like this update is shaping up to be, basically, because all it really is like a new fight pass for the most part, realistically. And like I said, quality of life updates here, there, cool. You know, that's dope, I guess. But there's no real like major substance to this, and it's just going to be the same thing all over again next month. And what this means is, bare minimum, we will be waiting 2 more months to get any real change to come to the game, or any change at all, frankly. You know what I'm saying? Tekken 8 right now is in a state that a lot of players do not find very agreeable. They're not very happy with it. A lot of players are getting burnt out. They're growing weary. They're desperate for change and for this new season. Every single day I get on Twitter, I see people talk about, hey, I got any more of that season 2? Hey, Bandai, Namco, season 2 update? Y'all, anybody got them notes on season 2? And it's just been nothing up to this point. Now, fortunately, we will be getting information on that in basically a week from now. But will that be too little too late for some? Probably. Not everybody, but for some it will be. Because think about it like this, okay? You don't want to drop an update in February that's going to screw with these tournaments that are taking place. Understandable, okay? Disappointing, but understandable. Mid-March basically is going to be a big nothing burger. And what that means is that Season 2 is going to, at the earliest, released in April, most likely, right? Especially when you take into consideration like the Fight Pass thing and like, you know, another 60 days. It's going to release in April. The other problem with that is, I believe Tekken World Tour begins May 9th. So not only are you making players wait an additional 2 months for any updates when they're already growing very anxious, very impatient, growing very weary, tired of the current state of the game and everything like that, but you then kick off the major events and give players, we don't know exactly when in April release. It could be the beginning of April, it could be the end of April. So realistically, they'd get anywhere from as little as 1 week to up to maybe 3 weeks at most to prepare for the season and start competing with major stakes. You know what I'm saying? And that just feels a bit rushed and unfair to the competitive scene. And honestly, it's just like disappointing for all of us to have to wait that long to see major changes come to the game. And again, like, I'm not a developer or anything like that. It's like I'm trying to like rationalize like why you don't want to do an update with balance changes in March. It just doesn't make sense to me. Oh, because the season 2 update is going to be all big and grandiose. Like, yeah, that's all the more reason why you should spoon feed a little bit of it before, and like kind of drip feed us some changes in preparation for this big massive change, as opposed to just doing like a giant one all at once, springing it on people and then immediately throwing them into the fire of Tekken World Tour 2025. I feel like that makes more sense. I don't know everything though, so what do I know? And like I said, it's kind of cool that they're taking into consideration this thing, but then it feels like you're doing the exact opposite with this. You know what I mean? Because again, like the new up, and this is even crazier because like, yeah, okay, the Europe Cup finals, I don't know when the Japan tournament is, but it's like a week from now, and it'd be a few changes, but nothing like super massive, you would imagine, right? Who really knows what they had in store? But like, this is massive, and I guess they would have more time here, but it just still feels like counterproductive to the whole point they made here in the first point. I don't know, maybe I would disagree, but I don't really understand. Here's the other thing to consider and keep in mind as well. This amount of time, like this gap in updates basically, is going to make a lot of people not play the game, whether that's temporary or permanently. I've already seen people very distressed and, like I said, anxious, restless, or whatever, waiting for these updates, and we're waiting bare minimum 2 more months to get those changes and those updates and see something fresh with the game. And you know, one could argue that like, hey, the game dropped January of last year, so season 2 should have started January of this year. Okay, that's not necessarily how it works. Fine, cool. Okay, so like February, March, oh well, they got these major tournaments that are happening, we don't want to shake the game right before that. Oh, okay, cool. Like March, April, well, you know, season 2, we're gonna do a whole big thing there, so we don't want to, you know, we don't want to shake things up too much before then, because we're just gonna do it all over again. And It's like, it just doesn't add up. This doesn't add up. And then you kick off the World Tour May 9th. I think what the effect that this is going to have is that a lot of players are going to drop the game, whether temporarily or permanently. You know, I think, you know, with things like Marvel Rivals coming out, whether it's like a general multiplayer game like that, or even just other fighting games on the horizon like City of the Wolves or Virtua Fighter, which, by the way, I don't think a game like Virtua Fighter is going to kill Tekken. I've seen that nonsense going around. I don't think it's going to be more popular or bigger or better than Tekken. I think that game's going to be much more niche in comparison. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to hate. I would love for the game to succeed, to be massively popular. I want all fighting games to succeed. But I just think it's unrealistic to expect that game to like overthrow Tekken. City of the Wolves, similarly, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that one has a better chance, but they're vastly different games. And the thing is as well, most Tekken players are like hardcore Tekken players where they don't dabble in too many other, at least when it comes to the competitive scene. Like, a lot of them don't really dip their toes into too many other fighting games. They kind of just focus on Tekken, really. So it's not too much of a concern. But when it comes to your casual player base, which makes up the majority of the player base, you will lose a lot of players. I am somebody who has already gone through my phase, right? You guys know that on this channel, I had like a 3 or 4 month span, give or take, where I wasn't playing the game and I wasn't uploading any content on it, whether that's because I was burned out or whatever. I didn't like hate the game or anything like that, but you know, game came out, shiny new toy, had my fun, was having a blast, grinding, learning, growing, creating content with people, everything like that. It was all well and good. Everything was going great. But eventually, you know, I kind of like wandered off, ventured off into other things, playing some other games, just cracking my time elsewhere. But since I love fighting games and since I love Tekken, I eventually found my way back. And so this 2-month waiting period isn't going to be as harsh on me as it's going to be for other people. Don't get me wrong. I'm feeding for some updates too. I got some changes I want to see. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to see things get changed up. Is my favorite characters going to get buffed, or are my least favorite characters going to get nerfed? That's some of the most exciting and fun things about fighting games in these updates. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like seeing things shift, and it's fun. But there are people who've been playing nonstop since the game came out, and you know, or people who've also taken breaks, and that they might take a break that they don't come back from. Every time you have a fall off in the amount of players, which is par for the course, like every game's going to decline in players over time, and then you'll have spikes when there's big updates or announcements or reveals or whatever like that, and it dips down again. That's just normal, that's natural. But every time you have that big fall off, there are players who come back and there are players who never come back. And I think in these next 2 months, you're going to have some players who just don't come back. Most of them will, hopefully, right? But I do think that you are encouraging people to explore other games in the meantime while you're postponing these updates for like this one. Again, I understand the February thing, the mid-March one, it just doesn't make sense to me. I just really don't get it. And so it's I don't know, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like, there's probably some things that I said in the first take that I'm forgetting now, or some other points I kind of wanted to bring up or acknowledge, but it's just kind of weird to me how they're moving in the timeline of events. I know this is very disappointing news for a lot of players, myself included, and even more so for people who've just been playing nonstop and just don't really agree with the current state of the game and really want to see change. And, you know, it's just 2 more months at least. But hey, maybe season 2 gonna be fire. Maybe that Tekken talk will show us that gas, that heat, give us some previews, get us everybody all excited. And you know what I mean? Optimism, you know what I'm saying? Optimism, copium, if you want to call it that, opium, whatever the case may be. I want to give him benefit of the doubt. That usually comes back to bite me, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up there. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all lots of content I put on bring you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have for today. And remember, nothing can happen to you swing the bat. Later.